Thank you, Ante, for the introduction. I think maybe partly I will be able to answer to it through what I have prepared. Firstly, good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to be here to address some of the points that Ante has already mentioned, why we are involved in these projects as a Chamber of Commerce. Part of it is already in the title of my presentation. We see that we build bridges between the sectors, business sector and the education sector. It's an ecosystem approach, and I'm happy to be here to speak about it today to you. I'm also happy because if your national agency invites you to speak at an event like this, you must have done something right. So thank you, Linda, for inviting me today. My name is Linda Laputje. I have been at the Chamber of Commerce for a bit over 1.5 years. I started as a project manager, managing, coordinating projects under the huge umbrella of sustainability. And recently I became the director of the EU Projects Department, which is personally a big challenge for me. Kur man jātēmē? Jā, bet nav tik traki. Ne, viņš... Next slide, please. When technology fails, we get back to communication. So, thank you. As an introductory slide, I have these 4 pictures. What is the common point of these 4 pictures? Not everyone at the same time. Lūdzu atpakaļ slide. Yeah, paldies. So, you're not rushing to answer. Then I will tell you the answer. These are all EU-funded projects here in Latvia. So, the presence of EU projects is it's omnipresent in this country. As a household, you can have access to EU-funded initiatives to have solar panels installed on your roof. As a company, you can improve the machinery within your companies using EU funds. That's the example. It's from Valmieras Stikla. I have no idea what this is, actually probably not what they use the money for, but just as an illustration that as companies use also these funds. On the upper corner, construction works. You probably noticed loads of works, construction happening at the airport of Riga. This is one of the projects. They're using the resilience fund to modernize the air control tower, make it bigger, so on. And in the other upper corner, it's one of our projects that I will be telling you about later today. So why do we get involved in these EU projects? I see this as a logical and pragmatic use of available funds that allows us to diversify the subjects we put on the agenda of the Latvian entrepreneurship. Also, the advantage going into these projects is that, you know, they dribble down from EU priorities. Sometimes they have a pinch of idealism. I love it. Probably you love it as well. You're here on an event dedicated to the twin transition. Owners of SMEs, they have less time or available finances to dedicate to topics such as sustainability, diversity of the workforce, energy efficiency, green skills, even the twin transition. So they getting involved into EU projects covering these topics allows us to bring these topics on the agendas of the Latvian entrepreneurs. I'm just going to go on. Nākamo slide, lūdzu. All right, so just a short step back. We are the largest business organization in Latvia. We recently celebrated our 90 years. That's very old for a country that is only 180 years old. So our members are largely SMEs. We cover the entire Latvian territory with regional representations. So the objective of the LCCI is really to embetter the Latvian business community, business environments, enhance the competitiveness of businesses, and promote exports. These goals are reached through representation of interests at national, regional, and also international levels. We are, for instance, involved in the network of Eurochambre. And another block of activities is capacity building through trainings, mentorings, and so on, and international cooperation with the support to exports. So how does the work of the EU projects department feed into the objectives of the organization? So we try to find subjects where we see some added value for the Latvian entrepreneurs. And as you saw from this previous slide, we are quite confident in speaking of representing a large part of the Latvian entrepreneurship. So we feed into these subjects of strengthening competitiveness, exports, making the environment for businesses better, and what do the business community gain from it? We offer these as additional services. They can take part in the projects as participants. It takes off the administrative burden that is often related to project implementation. And we also contribute to policy making. It was also addressed by the previous speaker, how important it is also, well, she's a representative of the policy instrument herself, but we need to also get the messages across to the policymakers, and we do that through EU projects. And Erasmus is not the only program we work with. We work with a variety of EU programs. All right, next, yeah, thank you. So the projects we implement address three thematic pillars. So one is focused rather on the competitiveness. So there we will have also competitiveness and this exports aspect. We have projects that have activities such as organizing trade missions to different countries. Currently we have the US, Canada, we will start South Korea. Sustainability block, it's a huge block. We have projects on energy efficiency. We have projects with this policy influence aspects on renewables, supporting the development of green skills, circular economy, and this is also where the twin transition subject falls into. And then we have another aspect dedicated to skills and labor force. It is also here that we often cooperate with vet education institutions as well as higher education institutions, depending on the structure of the project. But we have several projects also dedicated to the silver economy, to tackle the aging workforce in any field, especially in Latvia. Demographics is a huge issue. All right. So as a Chamber of Commerce, what can we bring to EU projects? So on the one hand, we have the required administrative know-how, which is not to be underestimated in any EU projects. Just, I think any of us has been in events where we see that the logos are misplaced and we know we will get in trouble. So we are experts of all of these questions. We know the reporting rules for all of these programs. So we are experts at project implementation. On the other hand, we have all the required technical infrastructure and also, let's say from a content point of view, the know-how how to build events. So we go beyond the required program, for instance, on energy efficiency. We will organize trainings in May. And to make it more appealing to SMEs, I'm adding interventions from suppliers who will speak of traditional, let's say, mistakes maybe that are done in manufacturing companies regarding energy efficiency, and we're doing additional visits of companies. Not required by the program, it's just that we know what will be the hook for these businesses. We are the largest industry network in Latvia, as you saw. We have effective communication channels, so we can work where there is a larger audience that needs to be involved in projects. And we are a key player in the Latvian civil society. We are heard by the policymakers. We are close to the business community, so this is not to be underestimated, and in many projects this plays also a role. So the most common activities that we do actually carry out, these are organizing trade visits, trainings, bringing the industry experience and know-how into projects, so either through best practices, identification of use cases. Often this is to help shape some tools or training programs, and then again we get businesses involved for the validation process. So we test what we develop within projects with these businesses. All right, of course, so I will start with a few examples that we have worked on. So the Twinnovation project, it's an Interreg Estonia-Latvia program project, and it had really the twin transition at heart. So it started from a common challenge both in Latvia and Estonia, that companies don't really, neither do they understand what twin transition mean, nor do they think that it applies to their subject. But they, in the application process, they already had identified a pilot project that could potentially also be realized through the project. Within the project, they were trained, there was a diverse program of capacity building with trainings on this, on the let's say more, well, theoretical, but also very practical aspects of cross-border peer learning and study visits. So, and also each of the companies involved. So these were, I think, 10 companies that came on the project as project partners. And each of them developed they developed action plans that they then learned also to implement, and at the same time they developed the pilot projects that they had identified already in the application phase. And it was a very successful project because it showed that companies are interested to get involved in EU projects when they see the value added. They are open to such topics. They learn to see how it applies to them. And some of the examples as the outcomes, Valmiera Mūža, it's a brewery, beer brewery. Maybe you had a taste of it yesterday, I don't know. But they develop their own filling services, Kurzemes atslēga, they do metal works and produce locks. They developed a wastewater treatment system. Baltic Satellite Service developed an innovative solution to monitor forest pests. And Sakret, so this is a construction material company, developed a new IT solution. Next slide, we will see a short video that was produced within the project.
What if we could reduce machine downtime and cut CO2 emissions at the same time? At Perusa, we make it happen with the Twinnovation project. My name is Inters, and I will introduce you with Perusa automation experts from Latvia. In the Twinnovation project, we are monitoring our machines remotely to prevent downtime and reduce emergency field trips. which means increased efficiency and a smarter way to maintain industrial automation.
So the company Perusa, they produce these machines that we saw, and through the project they developed this monitoring or management system. And I would say while efficiency as such might have been the primary objective for the pilot project, they actually learn through a project like Twinovation to see that what they gain is also energy efficiency, because they can then remotely use these machines only when needed. And there we have again this dual aspect. Additionally, in a project where companies, where you construct goods, consortiums with like-minded partners, let's say spillover effect of the Perusa of the Twinovation project was that two companies started cooperating with among themselves. So this company became a supplier to one of the Estonian companies, which is not required by the project as such, but a nice additional outcome, and to show that these projects are impactful. So the Baltic Green Leadership Project was a project I personally worked on, and it had, in the consortium, we had 3 Baltic vet education institutions, as well as an expert entity and the Chamber of Commerce to coordinate and create this liaison with the businesses. So we had businesses involved in these best practice analysis, but also they were very involved in more practical activities throughout the projects, and the most, let's say, prominent being organization of hackathons. So for the students of the vet education institutions, first each country had their own national hackathon, and then the winning companies met in Riga for an international hackathon. Here we had young people as direct beneficiaries of the activities that we implemented in the project, and I would say it's an unusual target audience of the projects we implement at the LCCI, but it was a very gratifying project because you really see the added value of the work that you are delivering. Overall, I would say, it was also mentioned here previously, thinking about organizing a hackathon. The hackathon as a format is very convenient for development both of digital skills and green skills. So after the project, I took a look from this Green Comp Green Skills framework on what we did there, and many of the competencies as described in Green Comp could be developed within those hackathons. Where do these digital skills come in? Well, they already think and breathe digital, so actually out of 11 teams, 10 teams well, the ideas they produced were either apps or platforms or websites. So they already, these young people, they have the digital skills, or they already think in that direction. So they don't necessarily need to be taught on, they don't need we don't need them to teach this reflex to think digitally, because it's something they already use anyways. And actually, I think here's a interesting story. I find it interesting, and I think it goes a bit, resonates with some of the things I heard today. So in the international hackathon, we, the team that won second place, everyone was surprised. And there was a bit of an uphill by these young people who did not understand it. But the team that won second place, the idea they had was a summer camp dedicated to sustainability, where they go into the forest and learn to make fires. I don't know. Probably they don't hunt, but you see the picture. So what's interesting in that? But if all the other ideas are apps and websites and platforms, this is the most innovative idea. Even it didn't deserve first place because it wasn't that elaborated, but the idea as such, you know, retrograding is where we get the innovation, and we need to teach these young people to think outside of only these digital platforms and means. So this was a story that I found it interesting. Also, yesterday we had a call with the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Climate and Energy, and they also recently organized a hackathon. The message that we got from her was that it's too late to wait until university to get these young people into STEM. You need to really, you know, put the seeds in earlier, because they need subjects such as physics and maths, and they need them in school in order to be able to pursue careers in the directions where we will actually need in the future the workforce. So this is a group, the age, I don't know, 15 to 18, is still a good group to get involved in EU projects. Next. So this is a EULEP. Not sure how we are supposed to pronounce it, but it's an Erasmus plus COVE, so Center of Vocational Excellence project. This project had rather a focus on digital skills, and also project was developed within an ecosystem involving vet education institutions, business representation institutions, and businesses then as the beneficiaries of the activities that were organized within the project. So the project had three areas of focus: AI, so we are virtual reality, and social innovation. The way the project partners decided to take on this social innovation was to combine under social innovation soft skills that are needed to enable these digital transitions within companies. And within that chapter, let's say, there was also there were themes dedicated to sustainability, notably environmental awareness. So we see that even in projects where you don't have sustainability and digitalization in the title, either the one or the other subject always creeps in and has its place, which resonates exactly with what Paula said, that these are not separate subjects any longer, but they can be found in every subject. Talak. So this is a project, AI for Green Bus. It started in December, so it's very early on. So far, the only thing I can tell you for sure that there are no green buses involved in this project. So what we aim here is really to bring together the use of AI, also, and sustainability. We expect educators to integrate, let's say, for instance, AI as a tool, so this innovative new tools into their education, because the students already use these anyways. And all of that, keeping in mind sustainability, at the same time looking always for the balance between AI and sustainability, which is, I think, a new hot topic. And in the long term, this will also serve to decrease the gap between education, what the education system produces, and what the expectations of the labor force is, employers. So here we are supposed to develop a sustainable business metaverse incubator for immersive practice-based learning. Very exciting. We don't yet know what it will look like. So we have a team from the University of Turiba who is thinking on solutions. We are doing a sort of assessment of what there is currently. I like the example, it was presented by the University of Caen in France. In France there is a tool called Pierre. And so students can engage with Pierre, but they have to teach him. And it's an interesting tool, but of course we will use something else, but we are still in the way of defining it. But you can follow the project. There will be a conference in Aachen in November, and maybe by then there will be clear, we will know better how we want to use this metaverse, how it will be developed and used. So, now guys, lessons learned. I'm a bit behind schedule, so. Twin transition is not a separate logic. You don't need to have twin transition in the title to have aspects of development of green and digital skills within projects. We like projects where there is some practical use. So you saw the example of Twinovation, very practical use, but also hackathons. They give a practical opportunity to use skills in a practical setting, or the development of tools such as the metaverse. Different actors following different operation methods need to have someone to translate what the other party wants. So we see education institutions that cannot get companies involved because somehow they cannot frame what they need from the companies in a way that is engaging for the companies. Companies by definition seek profit, so you need to be able to speak their language to get them involved and look for this flexibility where they're interested in maybe broadening their horizon a bit. We like projects that with partnerships that reflect the ecosystem. I think that is what works best. Probably not a revolutionary feedback for you, but I see that these projects make sense. And these are the successful projects where all of the different expertise cooperate. And the engagement of companies, in order for you to be able to engage companies within your project, so not necessarily as project partners, but get them to do just a little extra, answering a questionnaire, providing a challenge for, defining a challenge for a hackathon or so on. You need to be able to say what the value for them is here. Well, I'm jumping a bit back, but this twin transition is not that these green and digital skills appear in different subjects. I'm thinking also of a poster company in Latvia we have currently. It's Aerones. So it's robots, drones that ensure the maintenance of wind turbines. So it's an example of technology and digital skills that favor the renewable energy industry. So we have both of the aspects here. And next slide. So as we move forward and look into the future of Erasmus and other funding programs, I will repeat what has been said today. So VET education and STEM education will remain or only increase in worth and importance. So these are data gathered by the World Economic Forum. The demand for blue-collar jobs only increases. And when I say blue-collar jobs, I mean highly qualified people working with complex technologies and having to follow very high safety standards. So therefore it makes sense to go into projects where we somehow can support this interest and also maybe shed the light on the VET education. The involvement of companies, I think that it adds value for students, for them to understand that these topics that we want them to acquire, they're not topics that some teacher imagined, green skills. But these are topics that have an actual use. And therefore, it's important to involve businesses in different stages of projects because they show that they think about these topics and they need the output of the education system. They need the education system to fill these future jobs. More and more, when we talk about the green transition, I think we move away from a purely environmental or climate, well, these arguments, and especially in this region, we see how the green transition is being linked to resilience and security aspects. And it's something that I heard a while ago also in Spain about the renewable energy. This is linked now to resilience and to the autonomy of the European Union. And my final maybe invitation to you as you foresee your projects is don't underestimate these facilitator roles. They are very nice, you know, different metaphors of bridges, translators, and so on. But we have our part to play in these project ecosystems. And that's why we make these projects happen. Thank you.